Because apparently this is a deleted video on Mutahar's Some Ordinary channel. And I was like, you know what? Kind of curious because it's got something to do with me because the problem is that he used to develop his own niche. Like he used to do like again, like I remember when I covered excuse me just a second, I gotta turn on and adjust the lamp a bit. Anyway, he used to do like horror gaming related niche and tech stuff related and whatnot. Like he used to have like an interesting thing, and now it's like he just gave up on that. He's now like doing the whole slop bit. I don't think it's even a bit. It's just it feels like the whole thing just becoming a mess by then. But let's see. It is a 38-minute video after all, so let's see how that goes.
Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today we've got a pretty serious video to make. Throughout my career, people make mistakes and there's accountability to be taken, and I am not shy to taking real accountability to actual mistakes. Now the thing about this is, obviously I can upload these kind of videos onto secondary platforms, but I really think for full effect I should always upload to the main platform and really talk to you guys in a full level-headed way. Now, I have a Reddit board known as SomeOrdinaryGamers, and you can post whatever memes and things you want all day, every day. But one of the clips that I saw, one of the things shared, was resurfaced video of Oompaville, SomeOrdinaryGamers, and Nuxtaku watching Loli together on a Discord call.
And on the subreddit. Yeah, all right. Didn't he just make that? Didn't he make that similar statement earlier where he was like against it, and then the weebs on X Twitter or gave him shit for it, and now this is like a one hell of a contradiction right here.
So when I see this kind of stuff, it blows me, and obviously it flashbangs anybody, and I want to definitely have a talk about it and really explain to you exactly what this is, what it's about, give you my side of the perspective, and again, take accountability where accountability needs to be fucking taken. Now, I've had a pretty hardcore stance against things like lolly, and obviously I don't want to be contributing to watching that kind of content or normalizing it in any fashion. So in this situation, obviously I looked at some of these clips and I want to explain what's happening and completely condemn it too, because as somebody that is 1000% against this kind of stuff, I don't want to be, again, normalizing it in any capacity. Now, for people who don't know, Oompaville and Nuxtaku were former members of the Some Ordinary podcast, which obviously ended 3 to 4 months ago. Now, I get to talk about that a little bit after I discuss all of this, because there's some lore about it that I can finally really discuss, and it should shed to light exactly what really happened with the podcast, because it's pretty independent of this. But to go back to it, Nuxtaku is a former collaborator, a former friend of mine, and I mean really a former friend of mine, because some of the stuff that I've seen over here is disgusting enough that I really can't continue a friendship. And
Oh, so it took you long enough to realize it? Wait a minute. See, I don't this doesn't really make any sense to me because it's like it's the whole like, oh, we're I don't even remember. I didn't watch the, the bit right here that they did with Nux Taku, but it's like they were doing it like and label it as like, oh, we're just joking around, but now it's like because he got caught for it, now he's got to burn the bridge, right? I'm like, well, I don't know about that. Why can why couldn't he just admit that he's into the anime shit though? Like what?
I really can't, like, again, excuse some of my behavior watching some of this content as well. So this video that was uploaded with, again, Nuxtaku as Jeffrey Epstein and me as, I assume, Ghislaine Maxwell over here, Mutahar Newt, right? So obviously in this clip, or in this...
Wait, what? Oh my god. What the fuck?
Maxwell over here, Mutahar Newt, right? So obviously in this clip, or in this video, there is a pretty big clip of me.
This is illegal in Canada. All right. He'll get it'll get police to knock on his door, that's why. Because of it's the illegality in Canada. Yeah, I think it's not only illegal in Canada, isn't it also illegal in Australia too? I'm not I don't really remember, but I remember there were like specific countries out there that were like passed the thing to legalize like a specific media that comes off as like, you know, similar to that. And now Mutahar is getting shit for it. I'm like, it's like, well, the charitability statement right there is that it's illegal in Canada to for him to lug at it. So
Nuxtaku and Quite and Caleb basically watching and reviewing hentai together. Now, while all three of us were present in this video, this is a section from me, right? Now, obviously, these videos, according to how this video is played, was uploaded on YouTube. Now, for full context, when it comes to recording stuff, this was 3 years ago, so I don't remember everything done onto it. I don't think anybody can remember something they did 3 years ago, especially when you make videos nearly every day. But in this collaboration, Nux doesn't really give any preparation material. We kind of just jump in and record stuff and then send it over to his editors or himself over Discord. But in this situation, he showed us a channel known as Henty Boy, right? Which again, this is a video known as Hentai Thick Girl, very unknown, very small viewership. But as you can see right over here, right, this is all uploaded to YouTube. And even when you look at the upload date for this, August 2020, around Nux's actual video, which would have been uploaded like January of, or the end of January of like 2021, the channel pretty much remained dormant over here. But it was pretty much an unknown channel that slipped under YouTube's moderation. I don't even think that channel exists anymore because with the amount of attention raised through Nux's initial video, it probably is completely removed and has actually been banned off of the platform. And again, when I was working with Nux, a lot of the things we did talk about was being anti-loli in that situation. And Nux very much made it clear to me that he was anti this stuff as well too, and he still maintains it to this day. But the kind of stuff that he showed us was anime.
see, I mean, again, I don't really follow Nuxtaku per se, so I don't know.
Knee summer. Now, inside the video, inside Nux's presentation, it kind of came off as like just a cursed little hentai, and the reality of it is I never really watched his collaboration, but if you take the name that Knee Summer has had and put it into my anime list, which I realistically should have done at the time, you can see the synopsis is Yuta Yamayuchi is a average high school student, right? So right there, I'm not going to play the whole semantics, oh, is this really loli game? Like, I don't even care if somebody's like 18 or on the cusp of like turning 19. At the end of the day, high school can very much involve a minor. And when you scroll down and go to the information, it is a OVA by a studio known as Rabbit Gate with no licensors, but the genre is in fact hentai. So
Okay, I don't need you to explain this because anyone can just any weeb can out there can just look this up on my anime list. To be quite honest with you. Okay, go.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, if it's hentai and it involves high school people, it does in fact fall under the loli banner, and that is never okay in any capacity. Now, obviously, these videos existing on YouTube kind of, again, led us to some credence that maybe it wasn't, this like borderline illicit material. But again, these were also smaller YouTube channels, so chances are they probably weren't swept up under the YouTube moderation, which is something that also should have really been considered from my end. It should have been something that I never watched in the first place. I should have never, condoned. And honestly, it's pretty shitty to even contribute to somewhat normalizing this material. When there's a lot of large creators that work with a person, you tend to have this level of like authority brought into it. And there is obviously a blind spot when this is somebody that you consider to be a friend at the time. And obviously, when you work with that person and you see other large creators that you're also friends with work with that person, it just, again, swells up that blind spot that you make. But again, no real excuses over there.
This kind of looks like a Doom ripoff. It feels like one of those anime, retro Doom-like type of game. But yeah,
you shouldn't really have a blind spot in the first place. And again, it's not only me being a poor judge of character, but I should have absolutely have spotted this years ago. So for that, I absolutely own up to my fuck up here. But again, I don't think this is literally us gooning together watching loli in this manner. This is a collaboration where it happens pretty much on the fly, and it's not, representative of the kind of shit that I consume on a daily basis or anything of that nature. Like, I would never willingly and honestly, like, watch something like this, out of nowhere. This is just insane, and I wanted to really bring this up and bring this into the context of what this clip was and why we had watched this kind of stuff. And any jokes that I make in these situations, really any jokes that anybody makes in collaborations like this, is usually because everyone's just playing into the high shock factor of something like this. Does that excuse any behavior? Absolutely not.
And he showed us something very weird, and I remember getting somewhat upset about it, not liking it that much. It was me, him, and Quite. Fuck. I want to say it was something involving a dog too, but I
Exactly.
Probably 900-year-old cum vampire for far too long.
These are the four horsemen of the apocalypse we're looking at right now. This is like some mythological.
They've been around since long before civilization.
Exactly. Wait, you should one of those videos?
This is the 5 rules.
I couldn't even tell when it comes to Mutahar and like what he did. Like, I couldn't tell if it was like if he was coming off as hypocritical, like, in a way, or is that his ego probably been inflated ever since the whole like being the slop man of the sword. I mean, dude, anyone fucking anyone can look at ecchi anime and joke around with it. I mean, look at Grand Blue players as an example. Specific Grand Blue fantasy players out there would consume similar things like that as an anime watch on Discord and just joke and fuck around with it. So of course anyone can joke around with it, but if you're doing this in like a video with someone else, like Nux and Oompa and whatnot, then not everyone can, the joke. Well, it's not only the joking part. The thing is like, what if it just flew over their head and then they'll be like, oh, Muda's Gooner. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but anyone can interpret it, misinterpret it like differently.
The Onami household.
Okay.
These are the little sisters, by the way.
Okay, this is a hentai?
First rule, hug your little sister every day.
Okay, it's just fine. Okay, it's just hug her for at least 10 seconds. There's nothing
Yes.
wrong with the hug. Yeah, it's fine.
No, the third rule isn't any weirder, so you don't have to worry.
Oh. But in this situation, I just wanted to provide you the context of all of this, right? This wasn't us sitting together watching Loli, just on like the off time. This is a collaboration for one of Nux's main channel videos. And at the time, really nobody thought about it. But we should have. So a lot of these big creators, you can start to see like really big names. Obviously, Project Melody, Critical, MXR Plays. I don't know if that's actually Iron Mouse, but yeah, you can see plenty of creators that Nux has worked with. And for a while, there's been plenty of collaborations where like big creators jump on, they get shown like crazy shit, crazy hentai, or sometimes participate in like, games, game shows, so to speak. And that's really the extent of it. Nux is a pretty big collaborator in that space. And realistically, I kind of just walked around expecting him on good faith when he said that, he's pretty anti-loli and obviously wouldn't have shown us anything that would be very adjacent to it. And obviously with a lot of these larger creators also collaborating with him, I'm sorry to say it really did blindside me. There was a bias, call it, friendship bias, call it, there was other creators working on it, but really it was something that I was putting up a blind spot to. And I'm not using that as an excuse. I really shouldn't have done that collaboration and I really shouldn't have watched that content and in any way contributed to normalizing it. I 100% obviously condemn Lolly and I 100% condemn my actions in that situation. But again, one of the reasons why I do really want to address this is I don't like obviously reading the facts that I am some level of a pedo or a defender of this or anything. I have made plenty of videos crapping on individuals and burning a bridge with creators who I don't necessarily agree with. If I have ever at any point normalized their actions, people like Mama Max, where I did
Bridges over this. Did he just say burn bridges over disagreements? I missed it. I missed it because I'm in the middle of bar farming.
Burning a bridge with creators who I don't videos crapping on individuals and burning a bridge with creators who I don't necessarily agree with. If I have ever at any point normalized their actions, people like Mama Max, where
Oh, okay.
I did stick up for, amongst plenty of other creators. But I think obviously if really bad information comes out and new information comes out, you have to publicly correct it. You have to publicly explain, updates to a situation. I could swipe this stuff under the rug, but I choose to upload it on the main channel because I think that's really where taking accountability is at. I don't want to pretend like I am just burying my head in the sand. This was a wrong thing for me to do, and 100% I own up to it completely. So one of the things that I don't agree with is a lot of the over-sexualization in the thumbnails, right? So there were actually collections of thumbnails collected in these videos where things were pretty NSFW, all right? Or at least they were highly sexualized. But even that isn't as bad as one of the examples that I want to show you. Now, if you're looking at this video called Cursed Speedrun Fails, this was uploaded 3 years ago, and if you're looking at the thumbnail, it is XQC screaming at some video game with Nux's VTuber in the corner and going, what the fuck? Now, the thing is, the problem with this situation is the thumbnail that came before is absolutely filthy. So this one video where, again, the thumbnail is different, XQC is still very much in the corner. You can see a speedrunning timer. You can see Nux's character, his avatar, right here on the right side, but the middle that I'm blurring especially involves a dog bending over and inserting themselves into what appears to be a female character. So obviously this has nothing to do with the actual content, it's just a hypersexualized thumbnail. Now, even with a thumbnail like that, it had nothing to do with anything hypersexualized, so I don't know why we had to insert zoophilia into like a speedrunning thumbnail. To me, it makes no sense, but obviously, looking through a larger collection of these thumbnails that were uploaded on numerous other channels covering this topic, yeah, it really is a pattern that back in the day, and Nux even touched upon this, that, years ago, that this was something they did, whether it be for some form of clickbait or, capture, or something that was normalized in the anime community. Any form of zoophilia, any form of, hentai like this, or hypersexualization, or, if you even insert, like, loli into this thumbnail, for instance, that's not okay. And obviously, these are things that, if you slightly change in the background, it's going to rub people the wrong way. You should really just be upfront and honest. And honestly, you should never even have done this in the first place. But yeah, this is one of those things that kind of like obviously was brought up, and it's one thing that I wanted to address as one of the principal reasons as to why this isn't okay. But I think a even bigger reason is one of these situations regarding another creator known as Bungo Taiga, which is a creator that also had their entire YouTube channel pretty much terminated for nudity and sexual content policy. Now, to preface, also going forward into this video, I don't know much more about Bungo Taiga other than what I'm about to read here for you, and again, just covering this one specific case. So I don't know what level of degeneracy, if anything, this person also falls into, so don't consider anything that I'm saying as a co-signing of this individual. I'm looking at a very hyper-specific event in this point in time. I just want to make that readily apparent. So to go over a bit of their controversy, in summer 2022, Taiga was accused of
Isn't that the Taiga that Nux canceled the person over? Okay.
They made a tweet longer where they reviewed the allegations and called them false. Later, an updated Google Doc was created that had evidence that not only were these allegations fake, they were deliberately created by ex-moderators and spread by a stalker of Taiga. So again, this is the Google Doc in question. Now again, I have no idea about this controversy whatsoever. I'm only bringing this up because it was actually a big point of contention for someone like Nux. So even the actual person, Taiga Holic, actually ended up making like a 57-minute piece where they kind of went over this and really were just grilling Nux for not really correcting the record. The record had to be corrected because in this situation, Nux literally made a video where he was showcasing controversies to a popular creator known as Penguin Zero. Now inside this, he actually...
Most saddest thing in Fallout New Vegas is the Bozar hits like a wet noodle. I mean, it's ugly bad for something that costs over 20,000 in the caps. I bet the developers for Fallout New Vegas look at the Bozar from Fallout 2 and realize how broken it is. So they decided like nerf it down into pieces like that. Like, okay.
Actually goes out and says, hey all, I edited out the Bungo Taiga segment of this video. Although I state in the video itself a disclaimer that I do not know the full story and to not take what I say too seriously, I would rather not be a cause for possible misinformation floating around now that new information was revealed. I'm still in the dark on a lot of details as I heard both sides of this event and don't know what to think. I'm sorry if I caused any undue harm. So I personally apologize to Taiga for their side, and they discussed my plan going forward. I hope the truth comes out, be it guilty or innocent, but I intend to set the record straight in the future when I understand the situation. So it's wild as fuck that we're covering pretty serious stories like this, but we don't have the entire story, or at least enough to make a video. That is basically how you bring on actual misinformation. So in this story, Taiga did not appear to be too happy with this entire situation. They actually talked about it again in that VOD I brought up, Nuxtaku Can't Stop Lying.
You think I deplatformed him? People are blaming me for deplatforming him. He got banned for sexual content. But you're blaming me for deplatforming him? Destroyed his life? You think I destroyed his life when the video where I talked about apologizing for it has more views than the video where I originally mentioned it, like as a throwaway sentence? Over false allegations? I didn't make any allegations. I said what someone else said, and I was wrong to do that. But like, there are so many comments like this everywhere.
I don't particularly think
the way you Nux, the way you behaved or from earlier makes it sound like you would, hate Taiga. Again, like I didn't follow that one specific rabbit hole per se, but I wouldn't. There was like a theory in my mind that thinks that Nux advocates for cancel culture, and this is probably like one of the rabbit hole that he dug up.
think that was ever a great response in the situation. Like, yes, just because you regurgitated what somebody else said, when it comes to something this serious, it probably should have been something that you were 100% on the money for. It's a pretty massive fuck up, and it's not a fuck up that you can just, put in a pinned comment or a, side channel that people, may or may not see. At the end of the day, when it involves something incredibly serious, like,
did his webcam went out? Why is the screen all blank now? Maybe he doesn't want to see his oh well, I don't know. I'm not gonna make any assumptions.
Incredibly serious, like sexual assault stuff, you should 100% correct the record and make a actual real. It doesn't have to be like you slapping yourself in the face in front of it. It just really has to be a sincere apology that, again, you post on a main channel. The reason I'm doing this video, for instance, on a main channel is because I really do want to set the record straight. I really don't have anything to hide, and to be honest with you, when it comes to a situation like this, it's best that I set the record straight with my community. I'm not ashamed of involving people that wouldn't know about it. I don't really want to hide things under a rug because I have nothing to hide. At the end of the day, that to me is more shady. I've called people out for really bad behavior, and I think this is probably some of the worst.
Did he just say you had nothing to hide? I mean, yeah. I mean, yesterday we talked about the whatchamacallit, where he, you know, deleted the ex Twitter account, and I already made it like a, you know, a low quality reaction video of it. But I feel like a few months after I made it, he decided to like restore the account back just to prevent impersonation. But he's just gonna avoid this specific, you know, type of social media. He's only gonna use the subreddit and whatnot. So, but I don't know, man.
That I've seen, especially when it comes to reporting on something that you probably never should have in the first place, especially when it would have cost somebody, you know, a lot of issues down the road, right? Even the comment section over here isn't entirely happy about the situation, because obviously they say if you know how the internet works, then you'll know why that little clip can end a career of somebody. You said it, people are calling other people's stuff, but it never gets to somewhere because they don't have to reach to. But if some idiot with almost 800k subs, it doesn't matter if 1 million people see it. At least 1/8 of them are going to clip it and repost it, which is really true. If you make a serious fuck up like that, I think not only is removing the video a big problem, but you really got to go onto your main channel and address these situations. If you make a fuck up, especially one where you inadvertently end up slandering somebody, you got to cover for that. And the reason I also bring this situation up is I don't condone any situation where people are this mishandling with the truth, right? It's never good in my opinion, and I cannot ever work with somebody or, again, be friendly with somebody who has made a mistake like this, because ultimately it's fine to make mistakes, but to really just let it fester for this long without actually making right on it, because again, if you ignore something on the internet long enough, there's a good chance that it'll go away, right? If I ignored this whole situation with my fuck up, it would probably have gone away.
Why did it take you this long enough to realize, you know, that so there are two things for that's the question. Like, do you rather wait it out and wait at the right time, or do you want to, you know, come up to him like directly straight away? Like, what's the what's the right path for you? Like that confuses my low quality brain power. What?
But that would be very hypocritical of me to do, and that's not something I want to contribute to, at least on my time on the internet. I also feel that for this one
You did something that comes off as hypocritical. What?
person having some exoneration on a channel, you know, where at least if they weren't guilty of really heinous crimes, at least they get their word out, which at least happened over here. So now I want to move on to something related to our podcast. Now, at the time when we were looking at this whole situation, one of the things that conveniently also occurred along the time of the Some Ordinary podcast ending was the Shadman leaks coming out to the entire world. A lot of creators back in 2016 would contact and discuss things with Shadman, right? Now, Shadman is a pretty infamous creator that I have very much condemned. This is somebody that has drawn actual lolicon material of real individuals, real children, one of those children being Keemstar's kid, and has basically been an open degenerate in the community. Now, the thing is, a lot of creators ended up being friendly with the guy. A lot of people contacted them, and one of them ended up being Nux Taku, who Nux had at the time said, hey, probably this guy, right? A bit too middle school. You know, when Shadman is saying a bit too middle school, ooh. I want to collab. LMAO, no, but your heart's in the right place. Understandable, have a nice day. Now, when I asked Nux about this, obviously in a call, he pretty much
Is this what caused to end the podcast from here? Oh, I ain't gonna lie, that's pretty amusing. And then fast forward, it took you how long to realize this beforehand? To like grab all the stuff? I mean, then again, like I guess it does take a little bit of a while to, you know, gather this up and make a video, you know.
Told me that this was going to be an interview where he was going to troll and, you know, grill Shadman. Now, obviously it didn't happen, so I can't confirm or deny if this was actually going to be the truth. But the thing about it is obviously as...
I mean, it's hard to tell by this because either Nux is doing it just to grill him or this is just a way to like, you know, just a low key. I don't know. All right. Anyway,
as this was happening, this was on the consideration of the podcast ending. So I was on somebody's channel known as Chud Logic, who actually talked about the situation. I actually ended up going onto his channel and saying something that I probably shouldn't have because this situation regarding the podcast was very fluid. And I'll explain that in a bit. But I want you to hear this clip so I can better explain it and also acknowledge a fuck up I made. That's never okay.
Okay. Are you gonna keep him on the podcast?
No, we would cancel the podcast. It's not happening. The podcast
Dude,
is done.
this is hard because obviously, you know, people want me to
Podcast
fucking...
is done. Yeah, podcast is done now.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the podcast is over. We are not filming the last episode. It's over.
Is that are you serious?
Yeah, we're not doing the podcast anymore. It's done.
Why?
We're supposed to film on Tuesday. Well, there's a couple reasons for it. A lot of that was obviously some of the Shad stuff too, because we were kind of sitting there, we're like, me and Caleb, we were just like, this is, I don't know, it's weird. The other thing was we just want to redo things maybe like 2 months down the road or something. So this is a pretty big point and one that I can finally really discuss. Now, obviously, if you listen to that, it kind of sounds like I'm snaking him. I give him an answer where it says, you know, there's a lot of reasons, but a lot of it is the Shadman stuff, which at the time, as this was kind of breaking down, you know, everyone in the community was going, whoa, 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 you're connecting with this guy, you're talking to him. Yeah, that kind of was one thing that was brought up. But obviously in a call that, you know, I guess I had with Nux personally, this was discussed as like a collaboration effort. There was another huge thing that I wasn't really privy to discuss at the time. Now, the podcast ended for, again, us not actually owning any of it. So to give you an idea about how it works, right, the company that I was with at the time, the management company, Nano Zebra, they managed my channel and specifically Oompaville's channel. Now, if you notice towards the tail end of the podcast, Oompaville really wasn't showing up for a lot of episodes. There was actually a point where like it would be like 1 week out of the month he would actually make an appearance. And it wasn't because, you know, all of a sudden there was some falling out between us or anything. It was that there was really a behind-the-scenes issue with Nano Zebra and how some of the things on the podcast was done. I believe payment wasn't really necessarily brought towards Oompaville, and they had like another deal that wasn't really met well. Now, at the time, me, Oompaville, Isaiah, Tom, Brandon were out filming in Texas, and Wendigoon actually brings up, you know, how things are going over at mana.gg, another talent agency. So me and Caleb kind of get like a little pitch out of it, and we basically want to work with this Mana group because they're going to do a lot more things in the future that would help us with ventures we want going into our channel into 2025 and beyond. So me and Caleb effectively just cut ties with Nano Zebra. We fill in our resignations and we move on to Mana, and this happened around 3 to 4 months ago. So as this happened, the podcast was under management and, you know, again, I believe partial, if not near full ownership of Nano Zebra. So at the time, it was like, hey, what do we do about this podcast, right? Like, do we fight for rights for it? And obviously, not really. You don't need to. If you're the main talent, the 3 big people, you are the draw for the show. So it really became a situation where me and Caleb said, yeah, fuck it. We'll just make a new show, and we'll move it to a new location, hopefully something IRL, obviously, where, you know, it kind of has more of a professional feel, and one that we can obviously manage better. The podcast wasn't the perfect managed podcast ever. There was moments where guests would show up literally, like, last minute, and a lot of those guests actually did come because of Nux's massive collaborative efforps. Some of the guests I brought, some of the guests Caleb brought, but it was not something where we even had a docket for a lot of the shows, right? It was really just we showed up, we yapped, the yapping wasn't exactly structured, and there were some episodes you could probably look at and realize they were pretty fucking phoned in. So at the end of the day, the podcast ended pretty inconveniently timed with this whole Shadman stuff. Now, obviously, you know, we did, or at least I looked into the Nux stuff myself too, the Shadman stuff, because there wasn't really any collaboration, never really went anywhere. It didn't become the, you know, sole focus reason. But yeah, the actual reasons for why this podcast ended were a lot of boring business stuff. We just didn't own it. So it was a lot better for us to make a new podcast,
What did they end? Oh, hang on. I didn't catch that. What did he end it over?
There wasn't really any collaboration, never really went anywhere. It didn't become the, you know, sole focus reason. But yeah, the actual reasons for why this podcast ended were a lot of boring business stuff. We just didn't own it. So it was a lot better for us to make a new podcast, make an...
He said, so what he's saying is boring related business stuff. Is the boring business related stuff has something to do with the Some Ordinary podcast part? That's the legitimate reason? I thought it was because of the, I mean, from what I saw on, you know, X-Twitter and whatnot, I thought it was just over something to do with the Nux, but I guess there's that reason, I suppose.
Entirely new name out of it, and me and Caleb can move that going forward. And obviously somebody else can come on that is not Nux, but you understand now the real situation. Now, at the time, I couldn't really bring this up because when you're leaving a contract and you're leaving a company and you're going to a new company, you really don't want to disparage somebody, not because it's not the legal thing to do, but also it's just not something you want to do, right? It's just not really professional at all. You don't want to disparage another company. You don't want to like go out and, you know, make things look worse than they really are. It really was a pretty amicable breakup. We left, we moved to a new company, and underneath that new company, or really under our our company were going to bring back this podcast with obviously, different branding and whatnot. So that's really the fucking boring answer that it took me months to really tell you. And it took me months because now I've completely severed ties with Nano Zebra, and I've been with Mana GG for, I want to say 3 months at this point, like officially signed on. So yeah, that's really the answer. Now, in the case of Chud Logic, who did in fact take the words that I had put out and had relayed them, he really felt that I kind of snaked him and gave him misinformation or outright lied to him. And the reality of it is, honestly, the situation was just so fluid at the time that we didn't even know that things like the last episode were going to be filmed, right? And ultimately, that last episode did end up getting filmed, so things kind of did end on a, regular note. But when it came to Chud, there's definitely an apology that I feel I should give there, right? Like, I could argue this and I could keep fighting it, but at the end of the day, I do feel that, obviously, if what I have said has led to some wronging for another person, then I am not above an apology. Look, I'm not too big to fail or too egotistical to realize when what I've done can have consequences for other people, and for that,
Well, when he said, I just ended the Some Ordinary podcast, and he said that to Chud Logic. I part of me thinks it comes off as vague and didn't explain the reason why. Well, he did explain some of the reason. I mean, when I say some, I guess it's something else. So
I do humbly apologize. And that's really where I want to kind of leave things at. So, sorry, Chud. Now, one comment that I saw on Reddit that I want to address too, because obviously this is a pretty good reflection of somebody that is very properly critical of me, right? Somebody that is actually hitting me with hard questions. So one user, Nostra Clonoa, says, personally, if you're asking me, I think it's weird that you don't look into the background history of your friends and the people you're just perfectly fine platforming. Again, we kind of did a podcast together. Everyone is a sizable creator. I don't really think that it is specifically me platforming, right? This is just 3 larger creators at the time. You allowed Mama Max to run rampant for years. Again, I wasn't the only large creator that worked with Mama Max or collaborated or, at some point patted him on the back. The reality of it is there was plenty of creators. I was just one of the guys that came out and really absolutely threw him through the ringer, as I'm doing with Nux with this condemnation, and again, an explanation as to my side of the situation. The reality of it is I don't have to come out and make these videos, but I choose to because I believe being accountable is important. And I'd be a total hypocrite because I call other people out on crazy shit. And if I'm willing to completely sweep things under the rug and pretend like things don't exist or show you actual things, then I am a pretty big fucking hypocrite on my own. So you blindly believe the allegations against Magnetar, which I apologize for, especially. You blindly believe the Night Docs was a creep, and you blindly let a guy like Nuxtaku openly discuss and show freak shit in his thumbnails. Again, I don't control another person and their YouTube account, so I don't know what I can do with their thumbnails. But again, it's something that I do condemn, especially when these thumbnails are slightly changed. Again, I don't think they should have ever been used in the first place, and I don't want to work with somebody that believed these thumbnails were a good choice in the first place. You actively don't look into the folks you trust, and you just blindly allow them to say whatever without having critical thought about a single bit of it. So again, I don't really watch a lot of content creators that I collaborate with, and nobody really does, okay? Like at the end of the day, when it came to Nux's channel, here I'm signed on with my actual YouTube account, and if it's one thing that you'll see, usually under videos, there will be like a red bar. I don't have a red bar under basically any of these videos. I think the only video I have an actual red bar in this is probably, I showed YouTubers the most cultured clips, which I actually browsed through just for the sake of, again, this video. So yeah, Nux is somebody that I did a podcast with, but it's not that I watched any of this content beforehand, right? Again, this was somebody that was very popular in a community of people beyond just anime and VTubing, and it led some credibility. And again, the only reason I'm making this video now is to take accountability and to really, again, condemn the behavior that this person actually exhibited. Again, that's really the reality of it. Even if you look at other friends of
what's the red bar got to do with it, though? I know I'm asking a really stupid question, but it's like, well, you got some people, calling you out. It was like, oh, you didn't do that background check. When are you going to do it?
mine like Oompaville, you can see literally I watch the content that I'm interested in, right? Like Mr. Beast response, him saying he's retiring, Fuzi crash outs, a sad AI situation, Smart Schoolboy 9. These are things that I actually watch, right? Guys like Wendigoon, great friend, love Isaiah. But I think the only video out of his that I've watched is probably the disturbing and controversial video game iceberg, and more specifically, Fate 3D. Isaiah is more a video gaming YouTuber for me, especially when he covers things like this. And this goes for a lot of my favorite YouTube friends, okay? I like Moist Critical, don't watch every single Charlie video out there. In fact, I don't really watch much of YouTubers unless it comes to really, really specific things like speedrunning or, I don't know, 4-hour-long video game retrospectives. And again, this isn't really a defense.
I mean, that is the bit of a question, right? Like, if like hypothetically, if you're friends with a YouTuber, are we even forced to watch like every single one of their content, though? I mean, I mean, again, like if I get like an interesting video, then if it's like probably a few hours worth, then maybe I can listen to it on the side if I'm at work. But if it's gonna be short video, then yeah, maybe I'll watch it on while playing this game right here. But other than that, like I don't know how you can actually like I don't know how you can have like a friend that dictates like what you have to watch and what you have to like post. I've, it does feel kind of weird to me, in my opinion.
I most definitely should have actually been vetting people. And that's why going into, again, the future of my channel, I definitely want to keep collaborations to a minimum. I can't keep making a mistake like this because, again, if you're going to make mistakes, you got to fucking learn from them. If you actively looked into Nux, you'd spot the weird pattern of shit that follows the man, especially with Mama Max. I don't know if it's a bias you have, but if you're going to be critical of others, which I am, expect people to be critical of you when you platform weirdos and don't actually vet them. And I totally understand that criticism, and it's not something I want to actually keep happening in the future, okay? So if you make a video complaining about the fact that you're being criticized here, I won't be surprised if you snip half of this post and then act like we're all stupid, which I'm not. I literally will not do that, okay? If it's one thing that I don't do ever, all right, and you're a long-time watcher, I'm not going to fucking snip a post, okay? I'll respond to the whole thing. There's genuine criticisms of you that people are making in good faith because they like you and your content, exactly. And for those people, I'm making a video like this to really, again, address these situations. If you ignore that, that's on you. But it sure is weird that this is the second time now that you don't vet people and blindly vouch for them. Again, Mama Max, the example used before, it wasn't just me vouching for this guy. Everyone in the community really did, until of course shit hit the fan. People really started looking into this content, and even then I was one of the large YouTubers that came out and really actually mentioned that, took accountability in my personal opinion, and owned up to it. Really breaks the immersion you try to make of being a respectable, neutral party when you actually have vouched for monsters 2 times in the last 3 to 4 years, which again, I do 100% apologize for, and it's something that I have to do better. I have to get rid of a blind spot, I have to get rid of biases, but yeah, when it comes to things like this and people, alleging stuff like watching Loli on the down low, it's not something that I ever do, it's not something that I ever want to do, and it's not something I condone. And for that, I do take accountability into not pushing back and stepping away from this situation. Your community can go harass everyone who doesn't like your opinion because whether you believe it or not, you've got a hive mind of people who support you blindly, which I shouldn't have, okay? You should be 100% critical of everyone. I'm not an infallible person. I'm somebody that makes mistakes, as I'm describing in this video. And I do not ever endorse anybody in my community going out to harass somebody. If you harass somebody, you're not in the Some Ordinary Gamers community in my books. But unless you actually grow from how much
You built. I mean, I'm pretty sure your community is big enough to where you can't really control it, in all honesty. So you can't. I don't see how you can have like a big ass community, and it was like, well, I don't. Okay, how are you going to control 100% of the thing because based on what you post currently? I don't know if that's even the case right now.
you blindly believe people, you'll continue to make the same mistakes every time, which I don't want to. And that's why, again, I'm making these videos because I think taking accountability is very important. And obviously, I believe taking accountability on the main channel is very important too. Okay, that's just where it comes down to. And again, if people wonder why posts get removed from the Reddit, nobody moderates this Reddit but the Reddit automod. And if you look very carefully, it says removed by Reddit, which to be honest with you, No Circle Noah, this wasn't me hiding anything. I'm just going to hit approve on that because this shit absolutely drives me insane. I think we've got to change the automod settings at some point. Now, obviously, I want to address some other like power round criticism before we end this off. LOL.
Well, at least you approved the post. Unless you got like unless you have moderators that in your subreddit, then that automatically deletes it. Then I don't know.
Fuck Muda. Dude's been a hypocrite forever as well. Dude virtue signals over cartoons, but loves watching beheading videos. So I want to also address this statement as well. Now, on the podcast, I talked about a morbid curiosity that I have with like beheading videos, like cartel stuff on the internet. And I feel like I have to explain this a little bit more. My morbid curiosity comes from the fact that for a long time, for years at this point, I've been looking into the Mexican drug war.
Oh, here we
if you ever
go.
followed like cartel social media, one of the weirdest things about their social media is you actually have like gang bosses, sicarios, like actual hitmen, like real hardened gangsters posting on Instagram, TikTok, posting on really any social media platform, their mansions, their extravagant lifestyles, they've got gold guns, Ferraris. It's really crazy propaganda they use to really house people in. But if you look in Reddit boards like r/narco footage, a lot of these boards where they, catalog the Mexican drug war, you'll find plenty of uses of social media where the cartel uploads straight up beheadings, violence, takedowns as forms of intimidation. So realistically, I don't enjoy or love watching this kind of stuff. If you ever watch my dark web videos, my dry heaving is insane, okay? Even if gore is not on the screen, I will.
I don't. So that's what it was. I thought it was I thought it was something to do with the deep web videos that he made. Now there was a subreddit out there that's already banned out. Oh wow, that's a one hell of a pause there.
Throw up even thinking about these situations. So I don't watch these things for fun. But to give you a context about it, when I do come across this stuff in that specific context, it's more of me watching these things as part of my ongoing private investigation and research and morbid curiosity of a drug war happening where cowboys are raking in billions of dollars 2 hours south of the border from, like, what, Los Angeles? Like, literally right across the border of the United States from one of the richest countries in the world. You can have a nation where, again, billion-dollar gangs can effectively run entire portions of Mexico. It's an insane, wild scenario. You know, people talk about crazy evil shit happening on the other side of the world. This is happening literally to the south of the border, and it's insane it's gone on this long. Now, obviously, I'm ending this video off on, you know, again, Nux Taku is somebody that I have considered a friend at one point, but honestly, with a lot of these new things that have sort of come and resurfaced and people have brought these things up to my attention, it's not something I feel comfortable really even, like, looking at, okay? I don't like lowly stuff, and honestly, in a lot of these clips where, again, Nux with me involved in these sort of competitions or these sort of like collaborations is not something I'm okay with. It's not something I like being attributed to, and it's something that I 100% condemn. So as far as there being a bridge between me and Nux Taku, it doesn't exist, and it won't ever exist. And honestly, looking at some of these clips again and some of these thumbnails
That took you long enough.
that have been changed around, and again, some of these other situations involving other VTubers that feel very wronged in these situations regarding Nux Taku, I don't feel comfortable ever associating with this person. And regardless of whatever past or friendship that I've had, whatever that led to a blind spot, I do 100% take accountability for my fuck-ups being part of some of these collaborations, competitions, these game shows, okay? You know, there's plenty of larger creators that have collaborated with Nux, and I'm not going to make a giant spiel and say everyone should be guilty by association. All I'm here for is saying that I am definitely in the wrong for even contributing or watching any of this kind of illegal content. Had I known it at the time, I would have stepped away immediately. But I really, honest to God, didn't. And whether people think that I'm playing dumb or I'm not being 100% truthful, you're never going to win over people that never want to side with you. But I just want to get my piece out there. I also want to end this video off by saying that to any of the creators that have made videos on me and covered this whole situation, regardless of whatever thumbnails have been brought up or titles or any of these situations, I want to apologize to people like Chud Logic in this situation, because I really do feel like I did wrong you, obviously, with my misspeaking, my misstatements. I shouldn't have even said anything in the first place, and if I've hurt you or your career in this entire process, then I humbly apologize with it, okay? I know that, you know, things probably wouldn't, you know, smooth over, but I think an apology is due, and I think you got to be man enough to apologize, you know, when you have to. Now, when it comes to creators that have made videos on me, being critical of me on this subject, I don't want to obviously come across as somebody that was sweeping it, you know, under the rug or pretending to ignore it the entire time. Look, if you make a video on me being critical about me, I am totally okay with that. I have obviously been critical of other people in the past. This is not something that is completely out of my wheelhouse. For the creators that have made videos on me calling me out for it, it is something that, again, I thank you for. Accountability is very important. Policing this community is very important. And when people make fuck-ups, you gotta at least be able to address those fuck-ups and own them. And I do definitely own my mistakes on, again, watching any of this LoliCon with Nux Taku. I didn't know it at the time, but honestly, reviewing it and this footage and these clips, yeah, it shouldn't have been something that I was ever a part of in the first place. And I do 100% take full accountability for that, okay? Massive, massive fucking L on my part. But it's not...
So what? Just stay in your fucking lane. The whole God fucking damn it, dude! Like this is the whole thing that's frustrating about this. It's like, dude, just stay in your fucking lane. Do something that you're used to be passionate about. What the fuck is this, dude? You do realize that the more you can develop this fucking bad habit, now you're gonna drive your own reputation into the fucking rabbit hole. Like, fuck, it's so annoying. Like, how many years since then? What's with a bro using sweeping under the rug? Don't worry about it. This is just that's another deep explanation that I gotta, you know, have to give to y'all. This is just painful, man. Just
not something that I absolutely want to bring up as something that is malicious on my end, okay? There were no crazy gooning sessions in the background. At the end of the day, my relationship with Nux Taku is pretty much over, and it's not something I ever want to rekindle, especially after reviewing all the other things that have come out of this. At the end of the day, I make fuck-ups. Human beings, we all make fuck-ups. I think choosing how you acknowledge those fuck-ups that goes a long way. And how I choose to acknowledge this fuck up is basically, again, by completely being 100% transparent, honest with you, shedding light on things like the podcast shutting down. And ultimately, I want to move past this, leave this behind, and really just sort of end this on a note where at least I get my side of the story out. For the last couple months, this has been something where I feel like I've been taking a whole fuck ton of the pot shots, when really it's Nux that should absolutely be taking a lot of this, shit full face on. Something that I haven't seen on his secondary channel, main channel, social media platforms is actually taking accountability for some of these pretty serious grievances. Look, at the end of the day, I don't think this is a simple cancellation. Lowly content is not something that I ever endorse, and it's something that I've been 100% against. And unfortunately, having somebody who may have potentially shown me this stuff based on the clips that I've seen, which seems to be a pretty high likelihood, is not something that I should have ever done. Should have been completely 100% against it. Take accountability for it. But ultimately, yeah, I don't ever want to work with Nux going in forward. I think that bridge has long since been burned. And like I burned a bridge with Mama Max, with his situation, this is not a bridge I want to keep continuing. So I definitely want to take accountability for my stuff. But yeah, this is me, Mutahar, and I'm out.
Oh my god. DK, I think after this deleted video, I think I lost my brain cells after this. Oh my god. Consecutive mistakes is a bad habit, Like, what the fuck? Oh god. This is fucking ridiculous, dude. Alright. I think there was a community post I had to read out, right? Hold on. I gotta pull this up.
1 minute later.
Alright, so right here it said from 5 hours ago, and I'm pretty sure, by the time like this deleted video, reacting to the deleted video, as time passes on. Regarding the last video about Nux, while I can't be a friend after some of the recent things that surfaced, I do feel I did do an overreaction that stemmed from being emotional underreaction from the community on Reddit. Well, there's your problem. Although you did pipeline the community that comes off as pretty toxic, and it's kind of your issue at hand. I've been watching my content for the past few weeks. I have realized my channel has slipped into a slop channel, quote unquote. Well, you did admit it. That is the one heck of the acknowledgement right there. I have made more drama-related content over the last several months that I have fun, engaging, and informative content. That includes producing videos that don't release daily. I need to take more time and release content a couple times a week that stands in quality and not quantity. That's weird to say it, but okay. I don't do this for a job, so honestly, going out of my way to constantly chase trends has done nothing beneficial for me other than alienate my most hardcore fans. I don't know about, I mean, I've said this again. I don't know if this is, you're doing this. It's not the whole job part, but if this is like some sort of way to like cope with your mental health, then that's not good at all. And I don't know if like you used to have like the passion thing where you were like a Linux nerd or like a horror gaming related stuff, but unfortunately, I guess that got like got put on the table. I need to take a few days off and reset and produce better content that isn't the latest trends or internet drama. While that produces a good view count, it's not the kind of content I want to be known for. I'll be back with content that I'm proud of. In regards to past collaborations, all I can do is apologize and promise to do better. Is the if this is the content that you're proud of, is it the stuff you used to do a decade ago? I mean, it would be nice, but I don't know, man. Beggars can't be choosers, it seems.